Breath framework. B, begin where you are. R, reclaim your power. E, excavate your core values. A, allow, not control. T, through, not around. And H, healing. The breath framework, a way of life.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Center Experience Live. This is usually Mike's night to do this show, but you're getting me instead. So hi, how are you? Admittedly, this was not my best day, hence the extremely, well, I'm usually pretty casual, not usually like dressed up, but hence the side braid messy look and the puffy eyes. It was just a couple of things happened and yay, she's here. And it was just admittedly not the best day. So I'm really excited for our guest tonight. We're going to be talking about healing. And it's quite apropos from, I believe, her story, which I don't know a ton about except for what I've seen and heard. I haven't spoken with her directly, which is my favorite way to do a show. So you will be seeing our interaction, firsthand. So let's bring in my guest tonight, Rachel Druckenmiller. Hold on, here she is. Hi.
Hi.
Good to see you. I have to tell you, I was like I wasn't prepared because, but then Mike asked me to do it. So I, of course, because he's covered for me like several times and that's just how we work. But so I was not, really looking that forward to it. And then like about 20 minutes ago, I was like, it's Rachel. Like, she's like a breath of fresh air. That's what I think of when I think of like your posts and what I know. Hi, David.
Thanks.
So I just want to let you know that you kind of got me motivated. I knew that this would lift me versus keep me down. And it was just, when people in your life don't, I figure I might as well just say I'm not.
Let's go there. We go into, I know we're just meeting, but like, I feel like let's just go there.
Let's just get to the bare bones. Like, when people in your life are not like, they don't respond the way that you need them to, or even in a kind way. They just are not
tuned in.
What you need. Exactly. Not tuned in. And I'm going to cry. It's that kind of day. So it's just that, just disappointed.
Yeah.
So anyway, hi.
Yeah. Disappointment's hard. I want to call that out there real quick. Like, disappointment's hard. I put up a poll today on LinkedIn about I was reflecting on things I've heard from a lot of clients and conversations I've been having with people about how they're feeling. And like in workshops, I sometimes have people do a word cloud to like drop in a word or two of how they're feeling. And recently with a client, one of the main words that came up was like anxious, stressed. And just in conversations, I work with a lot of HR people and they've just said, I just feel kind of like blah. So I put out a poll and asked like, how are you feeling this week? Like blah, anxious or hopeful. And then, just comment below anything else. And you put the other comment there so that people can add something that maybe isn't captured. Sure. And I noticed that someone jumped in and was like, well, these sound like downers. And I'm like, well, this is just based on my observations of conversations with people where I'm seeing that a lot of people are right now. And to me, I don't view it as, it's like the judgment we place on an emotion. That's our own judgment that we have to own. Like emotions are just information. And so someone's feeling blah, we can judge it and say that's bad, or we could just acknowledge it and say it just is.
Right. It just is. It just is.
Disappointment. It just is. Like disappointment sucks. Like that's not a place I like to sit in. I hate feeling disappointed. I hate feeling like someone has disappointed me or I've disappointed someone else. It's just such an uncomfortable feeling to have.
It is. And I know that I'm supposed to be right here with you tonight. So like, I feel better about that, just talking about it, but it's hard for me because I'm like, pretty peppy and positive most of the time. And I'm not negative right now. It's just been a hard afternoon. Yeah. But thank you for being there. I appreciate it. It's very sobering when you're going through something and I think what I find really interesting is when people are just not in touch with themselves and, you know, see tears as weak because they're not. And so that's just like, really? And if somebody that could be close to you, it's just really hard. But, you know, I've been working on this journey of healing for such a long time that, you know, I have coping mechanisms. I have which ways to turn. I have those things. And, you know, like the breath framework that we talk about on here. Yeah. But it doesn't, just so everybody knows that's watching or watches after this, it doesn't mean just because, you know, I teach this every day and I coach on this, that, you know, I have this totally down. Like it's,
where are those liars? Where are the liars that say that they have it all figured out?
Right. Like I have this not totally down. This is just, you know, I would, if I were coaching myself right now, I would say sit with the emotion. Feel that. You're allowed to feel disappointed. You're allowed to feel sad. Don't try to stop yourself. Now, granted, I am doing live shows, so I can't sit here and like sob, you know, but then don't dwell on it. And also understand that just what other people think or even say doesn't, you know, is not your worth, right? Like that's the one thing I would want a client to understand of mine.
No.
Like, this does not dictate my worth.
It does not.
So, and my heart is with you, my friend, here if you need me. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. I appreciate that. So Rachel, I've never gotten to experience like Rachel on a show. Like, tell me about you. You've had quite a journey and I want to hear about that. And I want people to see this in authentic interaction between us.
Yeah. I mean, just like wherever, I mean, like work, life.
Just wherever you want to start.
Okay. I'm on a path. I mean, I'm really committed to my, it's like, let it flow, right? Let it flow, let it flow. I love to sing.
You can listen, wait, time out for what I need to call like a 20-second timeout for a second. I need you to understand that I just enjoyed that when you did that because I have like the worst voice ever. I know I was given this amazing ability to know lyrics to every song that was like ever made, right? But I can't, but the curse is that I can't sing a note because I have this like raspy, like no tone, like totally toned deaf. So like, that's my curse. Like it's every word to every rap song, every R&B, everything. Right. But yet I can't. So I have to mouth the words. Like when I was in college and we were in a sorority, we had like sing songs and we were like, just stand in the back and like look cute and mouth the words. So that's my reality. So, but here's what I wanted to tell you at the timeout. I was just having this discussion with somebody the other day. This is making me laugh. This is making me smile, not cry, by the way, David. Whenever something like a show or a movie breaks out into song, I start to cry. Since I was a little girl, you know, Sesame Street, like they would be like just talking, then all of a sudden they would be like singing and dancing in the street.
Yes.
It just really got under my skin. Like it really bothered me that they would break out in a song. Maybe because I can't sing, I don't know, but it's still at 42, almost 43 years old. When like, for just as one example, Ryan Gosling is like my favorite of all time.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Okay. Like obviously.
Yes.
Let me just say this. Before he was even this Ryan Gosling, when he was like on Mickey Mouse, you know, Club, I loved him. Like there's just something about him. I didn't see that movie that he won all the Academy Awards where they're dancing and singing in the street because it actually makes me like angry.
Movie musicals, you're not a fan.
I know, not now. No, I can't do it. I cannot do it. It just gets, so that's my whole story. So you breaking out into song just then, you have such a pretty voice. It didn't make me angry. So I feel like we're just really on track. We're tracking tonight. I'm not angry. It felt nice. You know, you have a beautiful voice. It's just like if throughout the whole conversation, if like you start getting up and singing and dancing what you're saying to me, I might be like, okay. Like, like we don't have to sing everything. You know how they do that?
Yes.
Anyway,
I do.
All right, I'm focusing. All right, so go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I grew up as I was raised by two entrepreneurs. So my parents used to be teachers and they both started their own businesses. And so I grew up in this house having this very different experience of the world of seeing my parents like what they did for work. And so I was like, oh, I'm supposed to like what I do for my job. That's not normal for most people. So like, when I was in my first job, I basically just made stuff up like all the time.
Yeah.
I love this, Ian.
Book of Mormon. I listen, I get it. I get it. It's like being allergic to wool. Like musicals make me itchy. Like I'm not trying to be funny. It's really funny, but I'm not trying to be funny. I'm adamant about this. Like, I remember my best friend wanted to take me for my birthday and she was like, let's go see like ABBA. And I was like, I would rather curl up in a ball, like on the street side and die. Not doing that. Legit. Anyway, I keep interrupting you. Okay, I'm listening. P.S. My air conditioning broke today, Rachel. So I'm sweating because it's 80 degrees in here. So that's
like
another
glow. If it helps at all, it just looks like a glow.
Just looks like I just had a facial.
I'm glowing. I don't know. I mean,
you are glowing. That's a good hair color for you.
This is my natural. I have never dyed my hair. I'm 37. This is my natural hair color.
Wow. I cannot say the same, my friend. I get brown. I don't get gray, but I get like light brown, but the blonde is not.
A lot of this is gray. People are like, oh, what did you do new with your hair? And I'm like, nothing ever.
Nothing.
Literally nothing ever.
It's pretty hair though. It's pretty like thick hair.
Thanks. I know. I'm like, if this is the natural way, like I'm just going to milk this for all it's worth.
Do it.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess, I feel like I'm going to like bypass what I was starting to talk about.
Okay.
I just feel like I am here talking about the concept of like the topic of healing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I was put on the earth to use my words, spoken, written, and sung, to help awaken and transform and heal people and companies. Like that's
speaking my language. I mean, a woman after my own heart. Exactly. Like why I'm here, to heal people.
That's what it is, and I think for me, for so much of my life, I silenced myself. I was a very almost like a shell of myself. I was very timid, very guarded, even just very soft spoken, like not really high energy. And I just like in school, I was a very good student all the time. And, but I just guess I didn't really feel comfortable like in among my peers. I didn't feel like I fit in a lot growing up. And so there was always just this sense of sadness, I think, that I had around that. And I was sick a lot. I had from the time I was 4 years old, I would have really, really bad ear infections and I'd have sinus infections. And I had a half a dozen ear, nose, and throat surgeries by the time I was 16.
Wow.
And I currently have a 50% hearing loss in my left ear that's been there for about 20 years. And I had acid reflux for 10 years as an adult, starting in my late teens. And then I burned out and got mono 4 years ago.
No, that was late to get mono.
Yeah, it's Epstein-Barr virus. So I basically just drove myself.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I just a lifetime of achieving my way through everything got me to the point where my body was like,
yeah, you need a break. Yeah.
We're done and you're not going to give this to yourself. So this might hurt. Crash landing. I lost my voice and I was just totally wiped. And the crazy thing that happened was I see all integrative medicine doctors, and I had seen this one doctor who I'd been seeing for years. And I sat across from him. It was Valentine's Day. And I was so sick. And I had been sick for several months, but I was figuring I could do this all myself. And then I was I need to go see somebody. And he was like, would you say you brought this on yourself or that this was brought on by work? And I was like, I would like to blame my job, but I really was that's the BS answer. You made all the decisions, I got you to this place, so you have to own it. And so I had to acknowledge that. But then that breakdown experience was just an opportunity for me to open up and let people in and acknowledge that I needed help. And I started seeing a therapist and I started investing in relationships, just friendships, in a way that I really hadn't as an adult. My work was everything. And just going through that was one of the most healing experiences I had. And the crazy situation, this was so wild. I got diagnosed with Epstein-Barr. What the heck is Epstein-Barr? I've never heard of this in my life. I don't know what this is. And then 2 weeks after I got diagnosed, my nutritionist, who I'd worked with for years before, who helped me with chronic malnourishment issues that I had, she sends out an email to her entire email list and was I picked the topic for my final PhD project. and it's Epstein-Barr virus. And I was like, shut the front door. Like this thing, I don't even know what it is. You have helped me heal through the past 5 years of my stuff. And now you're like an expert in this. So she, long story short, she really helped guide me through it. She wrote a book about it.
Wow.
And my story is in her book.
Is it autoimmune?
I mean, I think some people say that it is, but it's most people, from what I've heard, like 95% of people have Epstein-Barr virus. It's
Like
just,
they carry.
It's a matter of the degree to which it gets activated. So I had all the switches that were flipped. It was like stressed out, freaking out, not taking care of yourself, compromising your sleep, pushing yourself too hard, not being socially connected. It was like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, everything.
And then my body was like, we're done. Like, we're done. So it was just, I needed, I
needed that obstacle, that huge obstacle in order to overcome your fears of living, it seems.
Yeah, of just it was connection. I mean, like, I think burnout is just this state of when we're disconnected from all the things that really give us life. And
I've been there. Yes.
Right. It's like it's so painful and isolating, but it's like you're so in it that you don't realize.
Totally. You don't, and it happens so sometimes quickly, sometimes gradually, but it's very hard to see yourself in it when you're in it. And then afterwards you look back and you're like, wow, that's where I was. Like, what was I thinking? I thought I could, and the whole thinking you can do it on your own and, not asking for support. And it happens a lot after when you're like, it happens to men too, obviously, but when you're a mom, after you have like your second baby or whatever, it's like, now I have this, like for me, I had this 26-month-old and this newborn that didn't sleep. Granted, this is what women do everywhere and men do everywhere, but it was like not okay for me.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what do you mean I can't sleep? You need to go to sleep. And for 8 months, she didn't sleep. She's lucky she's sleeping. So, and then you can't sleep when so, I wanted to drive, I was depressed, I had postpartum. I wanted to drive into a brick wall. Like I say that not to be funny. I thought about, okay, maybe I could do this. And this is the sad part too. I was like, I don't want to die.
Right.
I just like want to be injured so I can take a break. That's when that, Rachel, and I don't know if you ever felt like this, if you ever really suffered with depression going through these challenges, but when I felt like I was walking through sand underwater, that was when I was at my hardest depths of like despair. That was the feeling. That's the way I described it to the doctor. Like I was like, I'm underwater and I'm walking through sand. So it was like kind of a double, triple whammy there.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew that it was just when I was hoping that the sun wouldn't come up because I couldn't face another day. That was a clue too, that maybe I needed some help. But, so many people suffer with this and we suffer in silence and people around us don't understand. I mean, my husband at the time tried, but he didn't really get it. And so I understand what you mean where you're like, but then when you come out of it, after you go through this healing process, that you understand. For me, like I understand life better. I understand why we're here. Like life is really different after going through something like that.
You can't help. I mean, I guess some people go through it and aren't changed, but I'm like, I feel like we're the type of people that like, if we go through an experience, it's like a crucible, it was like a crucible experience. I'm like, I am not wasting this. Like that sucked. I'm not going to be, it's like a choice to not be defeated by something. I'm like, I just have such a strong sense of agency in my life that I'm like, I'm just not going to be defeated by that. Like that sucked. This has brought me down. But even like when last May, right? So May, 6 weeks into COVID, I'm out running, get hit by a pickup truck.
I know this story. Okay. I saw the post, right?
Yeah.
Like, how does that even happen? Oh my God.
Somebody was not paying attention. They took a right-hand turn on red and just didn't notice that there was a person in front of the truck. I don't know. It was a Chevy Silverado. So like not a small vehicle.
Yeah.
I fractured my back and, which was terrible. I mean, really scary, like when I got hit, it's like, I couldn't breathe. And, it was just, my husband saw the whole thing happen. Like he was running with me. He was ahead of me. We were like maybe 10 or 15 feet apart. So he ran, like I did all the things you're supposed to do. It was like, okay, solid white cross signal, red light, truck is not even approaching the intersection. Truck is stopped at the intersection. Husband ran across. I checked every single box and was like, okay, I will now go across.
Yes. That was a clear decision.
And this dude just like, I don't know where he was looking, but he apparently was not looking where he was turning. Like rules of the road 101, like look where you're going.
Open your eyes.
Like, pay attention.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
So yeah, it sucked and it was scary because of COVID. My husband couldn't come to the hospital with me and he didn't even know what my like prognosis was until like 3 hours after he had last seen me.
Oh my God, that must have been such a treacherous, like just
yeah,
crazy time for him.
He was he just went to my parents' house. He was just like, I need to be with somebody. Like and so, you know, I remembered laying in the hospital bed in the trauma room with all these like things blinking. I didn't have my phone. I basically just had to like listen to the noises around me. I didn't have any form of distraction. There was no TV in the room. It was just like,
you had to just be in it.
You're just like with your, you know, like give me some Tylenol.
Yeah.
And I remembered thinking to myself, there's something here about rising up when we get knocked down that I'm going to use. Like lying in the hospital bed.
Yeah, and thinking that and singing. So I had to do something. I didn't even care if anybody could hear me. But if I had a truck, I'm going to allow you some song singing. Okay.
Like, you know,
some mulligans there.
Yeah. I need to do something. I had to do something to distract myself because I'm just like laying there with like no concept of time or anything. And then like the radiologist who had no bedside manner at all comes up to me after doing like x-rays and CT scans and is like, so you have a fracture. And I just started crying because I'm like, well, when you hear back fracture, that usually doesn't have like followed by like, and you're fine. But the coolest thing that happened, the thing that gave me hope was, I cried after, and he just didn't really know what to do with me. I think he was just like, okay, I gave the news, now I'm leaving.
Yeah, he was a little bit of an emotional void. Yes. Yeah, I dealt with that today. I understand.
Yes. He's like, okay, I have nothing to offer you. Yes, I'm out of here. So, and then this nurse comes in, and her name was, what's Jessica Simpson's sister's name? Ashley. This woman's name is Ashley Simpson.
How did I know that? That's weird.
Without pause, you knew that.
No, I didn't even think about it. Okay. What's wrong with me? Okay.
So obviously, Ashley Simpson comes into the room and she's like, what's going on? So I was like clearly tearful and I'm like, do I need to explain myself? Like I'm on a journey. Like I think
from the beginning.
What's going on? Did you read my case notes before you came in the room? So I told her what had happened, and all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, you're gonna be fine. This is like one of the best kind of fractures to have." And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
She explained to me, and there was nobody else that could have comforted me in the way she did. She shared with me when she was in her late 20s, she started having all these issues. She started just like vomiting for no reason, and like just had and started losing weight and couldn't figure out what it was. Discovered she had lesions on her brain. So late teens, early 20s, had to go into the hospital and have lesions removed from her brain. And she said, I had to relearn how to walk.
Oh, wow.
I had to relearn how to walk.
Putting things in perspective.
Get out of all that like therapy that she was in for a while, is walking to like her aunt's house or something in Baltimore where I live, for like a 4th of July picnic, hit and run by a motorcycle. She gets hit by a motorcycle. And fortunately did not break anything. I had to go back to the hospital and was like, maybe there's something I'm supposed to do with healthcare. So she is now in the neurology unit. So somebody who recovered from brain lesions, who had to relearn how to walk in her early 20s, is now in the neurology unit as a physician's assistant.
Talk about a calling, right? I mean, that's like wow, some people amaze me.
Isn't that amazing? So I was like, that is like all I needed. When she said you're going to be okay, like I believed her because she had credibility.
Yeah.
And I was like,
she gave you safety that you needed.
She gave me the safety. It was like it was the first time that whole day that I felt like, okay, she said I'm going to be okay. So like, I'm going to be okay.
And you decided too. I mean, that's such a strong piece of you when you make a decision. I know that already. Just, I feel your soul. So like, I see that piece of you, but like, you just needed that little push.
Yes.
Like you just needed that little support, and she gave it to you. So she was totally there. Actually, all of it was supposed to happen the way it did.
All of it.
Even the radiologist was supposed to happen the way it did.
It's just the crazy thing. And then the other, like just wild thing that happened is I noticed I had some PTSD symptoms. Like my startle response was like hot. I mean,
I can imagine,
like real bad. Like my husband would bobble a glass bowl on the sink and you would have thought like I just jumped out of my skin and I would like be really reactive and I would like scream. And I was just like, this is not a normal response to like that. I was like level 1 incident, level like 15 reaction. And I was like, this is not normal. I knew I need to see somebody. And people said that EMDR, like what's eye movement desensitization reprocessing, would help me. But then I talked to the lawyer that I'm working with on this, and they were like, well, apparently the therapist that I was talking to exploring, she was like, well, if you're potentially in litigation, you shouldn't do EMDR because it basically like creates a new memory of the experience. And if you ever have to testify for yourself, like, you know, then you can't have a new memory of the experience. And I'm like, okay.
I mean, good advice, but also like, okay, so I should suffer. Like, I don't.
Is that messed up?
Yeah. That's really sad that that's the case. So you couldn't do it. So you didn't do it.
So I did not do EMDR because I was like, I need to do more than talk therapy. Like I know just like talking this out, like this is a traumatic, this was happened to my being, happened to my body.
Yes.
I need to process this physically. And so I had read the book, The Body Keeps the Score. And which is like one of my favorites here for anyone that's with us. It's like one of my most favorite books, The Body Keeps the Score, Brain, Mind, and Body and the Healing of Trauma. Amazing, amazing book. I like
the title.
You would love this book. It's so good. It's so good. And so I read that. And so I learned about something called somatic therapy, right? Where they work with the body to process trauma. And I was like, that sounds like it'd be really relevant for me. So I found a woman in Baltimore who is a somatic therapist and a psychotherapist.
Wow. Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's both. She's a rolfer. So doing the like fascial release and stuff where a lot of our trauma gets stored. She's a rolfer and a psychotherapist.
Wow.
So the craziest thing happened the first time I saw her. I explained what happened and she laid me down on the massage table on my back and she stood on the side of me and she was like pushing along my right leg. They kind of just like work along different parts of your body and have you constantly check back in. Like, how are you feeling? Where are you feeling? What are you feeling? And I said, I feel like my body's resisting you. And she was like, oh, so like you want to push me away? And I was like, well, I mean, I just met you like 20 minutes ago. I would really help me.
Please help.
Like, don't go away. And she's like 60, you know, and she's like on the side of the table and she goes, okay, she stands like this. And she goes, okay, I want you to push me. And I was like, this is the weirdest thing anyone's ever had me do in therapy. So I pushed her, I like sat up and I pushed her. And then she was like, push me harder, like enough to make me move. So I did it like 3 more times. And then I laid back down and she said, I want you to notice, what are you feeling right now? And Annie like did not see this coming from a mile away. But all of a sudden I had just this wave of like sadness come through my body. And I just started sobbing. And I said, I like put my hands to my face and I was like, I wanted to push the truck away and I couldn't.
Wow.
Like,
wow, that just gave me chills. That's like really intense.
It's really intense. And
what did she say?
I just cried for like 3 minutes and she was like, yeah, like, yes, this is good. She was just present for me. You know, she was just like a present witness and
sharing space, holding space for you.
She just held space for me. And she was like, yeah, like, and I was like, how did you even know to do that? Like, what kind of like ninja move was that like, that you sensed that's what needed to, and I was like, okay, whatever you're like giving out, I'm taking. So I literally see her every Saturday. And that was in November.
Rachel, she gave you safety.
Tremendous.
The same as the nurse. I think safety is pretty important to you. And all of these things that have happened to you have taken that away from you.
Yes.
So to get that with the people and support in your life is super important.
That's very observant. And it was something I think growing up, I didn't feel safe to be the expressed version of me. Like I love to write. Like I have stories. I have a story I wrote called The Dare by Rachel Bryant, which is my maiden name, by Rachel Bryant, age 9. It's like downstairs. I have a journal. That's like a little black book with pink hearts on it that has pink and blue pages from elementary school. And I was like, I had a crush on Adam, or so-and-so didn't sit next to me today. And that made me very sad. Or like, I had and I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel accepted.
And that belonging was missing for you.
That belonging was really missing. And so I'm like, well, I can't put myself out there and sing in front of people, or I can't like share my stories, or I can't share my poems, or I can't tell people how that mean thing they did to me really made me feel, or the fact that I was the only kid in the class that didn't get a Valentine or whatever. Like I can't tell anybody that because I already don't feel like I belong here.
So I'm going to belong even less. Right.
So I'm going to belong even less. Like, and that was so painful. And my friend Tori, who I've been friends with for 18 years, we met in college. She made it like an observation, like growing up, I would have always associated myself as like an introvert and labeled myself like when I would take Myers-Briggs, which I'm not a huge fan of now, but I was like ISTJ, right? Just like the thinker and, you know, just really introverted. And I had a book called The Introvert's Advantage when I was like middle school or high school. Like I was so tied to this identity.
Your narrative was strong about yourself. Mm-hmm.
I am shy and I'm an introvert. And then like, it must've been like 4 or 5 years ago, I was talking to my friend Tori and I was like, gosh, you know what? I like get really energized when I'm like around other people. Like I feed off of other people's energy. And I walk away from interactions with people feeling like really filled up and wired and ready to go. And one of the, and I said, and I've recently taken some other assessments and it's like, I keep showing up as like an extrovert. I'm having an identity crisis.
Yes. What am I?
What am I? Like I was this for so long, but now I feel like I'm this. And she's like, well, maybe you just never really felt safe enough to be yourself. And maybe you just finally feel safe enough to be yourself. And so your true self
is coming to the surface, but you were fighting it because of your narrative.
Yes.
So it was the push pull.
Yes. I don't do that. I don't get on a stage and do things in front of people. I don't ask to be the center of attention. I don't like, I was like, no.
That's not who I am. Right. That's not who I am, but it really was.
But it really was who I am. You know, it really was. And for me, I think that's where, you know, I always think there's a psychological and emotional component to not any type, but to a lot of physical disease.
Absolutely.
Right? Like you're totally like totally aligned with that. And for me, like having acid reflux for 10 years, I'm like, you had a fire in your belly that you just like did not let out, Rachel.
Wow.
Like literal.
Yeah,
it's like,
you were pushing it down and it was burning here. It needed to come out.
Burning.
Your voice needed to come out. Truly.
It did. Yeah.
And it was trying to tell you. That stuff blows my mind because that's truly what it was. And now you're so in touch with who you are.
Yeah.
And you're passing this story, or you're telling your story to model the way for other people, which I find tremendous. And you just went through this traumatic event. This horror was not that long ago.
No, it was, May of last year. I mean, I was in like a back brace. I'd like get up on here doing like presentations about building resilience in what looks like a backpack. Back braces look like backpacks. Like I said, I knew I was going to use it. I was like, oh, this is getting used like immediately. This is not getting wasted. I let myself be sad though. I wasn't like so quick to be like, let me move on to the meaning making part of my story and bypass the fact that I feel really sad and I'm in pain. I'm proud that I did not do that. I just let myself be sad. Like I remember there was a day like a month into the accident where I looked outside. It was a beautiful day. And like the weather was so nice. It was just like fluffy clouds and I saw people out running and I just walked over to my husband and I just leaned into him and I just started crying because I was like, I want to be outside running. Like, and I can't. And it was like my only form of release. Like, if you think about it, in the midst of COVID, one of the only forms of like true freedoms and releases that we had was like to go outside and move.
Yes.
Like that was one of the few things that was like, okay, you can do this. And this is probably good for you and safe. And so to have that taken away, to have intimacy taken away, like you can't be physically intimate when you have a broken back. I'm sorry, that doesn't work.
No.
And like
your whole independence is really taken from you.
Everything. I mean, I couldn't even like get up and out of a chair by myself. I couldn't get into and out of the shower by myself. I couldn't get dressed by myself. And I'm so grateful I have him. My husband, he's an elementary school teacher and he's just one of the most humble and selfless, and supportive and loyal people I know. Like he's just a really wonderful human being. And he's like exactly who I need.
I love that. It makes me like, I believe in love so much. I think that love is everything and it's at the core of who we are. I mean, it just flows from me. I just love so much. And to hear you say that it makes me cry. It's beautiful because I'm so happy that you have that with him. That's such an incredible thing. I don't have any happily married friends. My first one. No, but like, yes. No, but like, there's typically, I think, especially around like the early 40s age,
Sure.
I think after the kids are a little bit more self-sufficient, you kind of look at each other and you go like, really sure if I like you, and then you either make it or break it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Push through. And so, but that just resonates so much with me, that your love for him. And I'm not saying by any means that everything is perfect all the time. I'm not under that, pretense, but I will tell you that it is inspiring to hear of two people that can really lean in and care for one another. And then, have that to hold on to forever. You have that forever, that you'll never have to look at these awful trials and tribulations that you went through and say, and I was alone.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And you know what, as you say that, Annie, like I couldn't have done that alone. Like I couldn't, he made all of our meals. He did all of our shopping. He did all of the laundry. I couldn't even walk like comfortably and safely up and down stairs without being afraid I might fall or step the wrong way. I mean, I had a fracture. Like you have to let the bone fill back in before you can. I mean, I couldn't bend, lift, or twist for basically 4 months.
I mean, this is straight up TED Talk material. You understand that, right? Like, is there a reason that you don't have to like, you like break out into song with this beautiful voice that even I can tolerate, right? And like you have this incredible story that needs to be told, because people are going to watch you and go, you know what? I can get through this today. I'm thinking about what happened today in this little, one-off discussion and argument where someone wasn't, supportive the way I needed. And it's like, not that it's BS. Of course it was my feelings and that matters, but like, I can look what you did. Like, it's so inspiring. I can overcome so much. What we can overcome. And you're such an inspiration of that you have to share it. You need to be on like public stage.
Thank you. I need to do it more. I mean, I speak for a living, but yes, bigger stages. TEDx is two of my dreams. One is a TEDx. I said to a friend the other day, within the next 18 months, I'm going to get after one of those, because I've wanted to do that for so long. Like I wanted to do a TEDx for a long time. And I know somebody who pitches people for TEDx's, and I know I would be able to get one. And then part of me is like, well, do I like write my book first and then hone my message on that?
No. My everything in me is channeling from up above, telling me to tell you not to wait. Okay. Do not wait. You need to do this because it's coming out of you in such a way that it needs to be shared. It's not, well, I'm not sure, because if I do this you need to be heard, unmuted for real.
Thank you.
Your voice is, right? I know. I'm like super intense, and everybody can't. I love it. I know you can handle the intensity.
I love intensity. I welcome intensity.
I know, and you're so open to it. But it's like, this is, if I ever got a strong, and I get messages all the time, but if I ever got a strong message, it was like, tell her not to think of 6 other things she can do first. Like, this is no, this is your path. Like, you need to be heard, because there are people that need to hear you and will heal because of you.
Thank you.
And then everything, not that you're not looking at it like this, but everything will have been worth it. Everything will have been, oh, that's why that happened to me. That's why I went through this, which has put you right here in front of me talking about this and thinking about your next step. I mean, and don't ever for one second think like, well, I don't want to use this story. Like, I don't want to, like, I don't know. Some people might think like, I don't want to use this story. I don't want to share this. It's so vulnerable.
Oh, I'm so good with it. I love the vulnerability. Like, I remember what got me to the place of vulnerability. I remember what it was. I used to write a blog called Rachel's Nourishing Kitchen. And I would share my journey of learning how to heal myself, like all my ear, nose, and throat infections, like acid reflux, how I got off all those medications, how I adjusted my diet, how I changed things in my life. And I started doing like recipes, and I got trained in culinary nutrition, became a health coach, and started sharing all this stuff with people. And then I went through a period of time where I was like 20 pounds less than I am right now. This was about, 2010, 2011, maybe 2011, 2012. And we're getting vulnerable and just being honest here. Like, my menstrual cycle stopped for 7 months.
Yeah, you were.
And I was like, this is not, I have the body of a 14-year-old girl, and I am however old I was, 28 years old, 28 years old. this is not right. This is not okay. But I got praised for it because I had lost weight. I had lost weight. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, you look amazing. You look so good. Like,
that's a whole other discussion.
It's a whole other thing.
People
right?
praising you. Yeah.
It's the praise. And I was the director of well-being. So I'm like, I totally fit the role. I had the weight loss story of I got back to my high school weight and kept it off. And it was like this part of my narrative.
Yes.
That I was the success story of weight loss. And then what nobody knew behind the scenes was that, like, you know, my body wasn't functioning the way that a 20-year-old woman's body was
shutting down in so many ways. I mean, when menstrual cycles stop, it's organs are shutting down, like not good.
That's not good. It's not okay. And I was worried about that because I was like, well, we would like to have children someday. And this is probably not what's supposed to happen. So I went to get a bunch of blood work done and the results came back and it showed that I was chronically malnourished. And what had happened was when you take medicine, like acid reflux medicine, it shuts off your body's stomach acid, which you need to break down things like proteins into amino acids for your hormones and your neurotransmitters, all that kind of stuff. And what happened is my body wasn't efficiently breaking down proteins. And I was malnourished across a wide range of nutrients. And here I am, like, I'm eating kale and I'm drinking smoothies and I'm eating flax seeds.
Like, what is going on? Why can't I? Yeah.
I was like consuming, but I wasn't absorbing. I was consuming, but I wasn't absorbing. And so I was basically eating vegan at that point too. And my doctor was like, you might need to reincorporate some animal products. And I was like, okay. But like this doctor, they told me that I'm going to like get breast cancer if I start eating animal products. Like, it's just people.
You have been to so many doctors about so many things. My poor girl. Like,
yeah.
Can we just like for a second, just recognize that you've sort of been through it?
Yeah.
Like a lot. Like, I want to make sure to point that out. This has been a long road.
It's been a tiring and one that I've had to just advocate for myself because no one found these answers for me. I had to do all this work to find these answers for myself. And I remember talking to this woman, her name was Mary Jo Fishburne, acupuncturist and an integrative medicine doctor. She did the testing on me and I said, what can I do? And she said, if you really want to focus on this, I know someone who can help you. Her name's Kasha Kynes and she's a nutritionist. So I start seeing Kasha and I sat across from her and I remembered sharing with her. I was like, I haven't had my cycle's been off for 7 months. I'm really worried. And she sat with me, Annie, for almost 2 hours. We spent almost 2 hours together in our first appointment. And I remember one of the things she said to me is she was like, oh, I can help you. I can help you heal this. And I remember she also said, and you will have beautiful, healthy babies. We'll have beautiful, healthy babies. And it was like, again, this person who just gave me hope at a time where I was just like kind of desperate. I was like, felt so unsafe in my own body. Like I've had so many things that have happened to and in my body that I like have lost trust.
Totally. That's what I just thought of. Just total loss of trust. 100% with you.
How can I trust you? You've betrayed me a lot, you know? So this sense of betrayal by your own body. And so I started working with her and I started on certain kind of supplements and I started gaining some weight back and things started to regulate themselves again. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember I went to her, I'd been seeing her for maybe like 9 months or a year. And I sat across from her and she goes, you have color back in your face. And I was like, I didn't know I didn't have color in my face. Like my face was almost like kind of sallow, which I did not see because I was in it all the time.
Sure.
And like, it's like I came back alive.
You came to life. Everything started working again and
I came to life.
Living.
I started and I got off the reflux medicine and I had, cleaned up certain things in my diet so I didn't need to be on it anymore. And like my cycle started to regulate itself again. And that experience, and then I gained all the weight back. And you notice that you've sort of gone in the reverse and people stop telling you that you look good.
Yes.
Right? When you stop hearing, oh my gosh, you look so good. What have you been doing? Blah, blah, blah. So I remember I wrote a blog post December of 2015, and I was terrified to publish this thing. And my before picture was my I'm too skinny picture. Mm-hmm. My after picture was me putting the weight back on picture, because that was actually a healthier version of me. Mm-hmm. And I pressed post on the post and I called it The Courage to Be Vulnerable, My Untold Story. And I remembered when I had lost the weight, I said to myself, oh, I'm never going to wear those pants again. Like, oh, I'm the size whatever now, right? Like I'm never going to need to put those back on. I got rid of all these clothes that were like my heavier clothes. And I had this grieving of like the loss of a body that I felt like whenever I put on, it looked good immediately.
Well, and unfortunately, when you're too thin, clothes hang sometimes a little bit nicer. That's just how it is. That's why mannequins look like they do, but it doesn't look good. You are beautiful right now and alive. But anyway, keep going.
So like I posted that and I was so scared to post this because I was like, this is what happened. And this is like what's really going on. And I was so afraid to speak up about it because I'm the wellness person, and what happens when the wellness person gains weight back. And I did not hold back at all. I shared it. And then that spring I had my first national keynote at a conference, and I shared that story, and I showed my before and after picture, which is like the reverse of what you're used to seeing for the before and after picture. And I talked about the importance of eating for like, I used a framework for nutrition called connect, savor, nourish, like the importance of like connecting with your food and how it makes you feel and what it does in your body, and to really savor it and be present with it, and to focus on like what nourishes your body and what nourishes your soul and what nourishes your mind, and to have it really be this holistic experience I had totally missed out on when I was in this place of being malnourished and looking good according to everybody else. Mm-hmm. That was the beginning of me essentially unmasking myself and truly unmuting the parts of myself that I had previously very carefully curated. That was the beginning of me being really honest. And that was
where you stepped into your truth.
That's when I stepped into it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be really honest with what I'm going through now. And I'm not going to hide it. And I did the same with burnout. And I did the same with the accident. And I did the same with like COVID hit. 100% of my revenue, and I'm the primary breadwinner in our family, 100% of my revenue was in-person speaking engagements. And I'd only launched my business 7 months earlier. Like I left a 6-figure job I'd been in for 13 years and COVID hits. And it was like in a matter of weeks, 80% of my business was gone. And I was like, oh, like I had some moments of just like, what am I going to
do?
Like, and so I started doing webinar. Like I booked myself a webinar for like 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later. I don't even know when it was. Maybe in the end of March, beginning of April. Building hope and resilience in the midst of uncertainty. I was like, I'm going to talk about this. I've talked about burnout before. This is my domain. People need help with well-being and engagement right now. This is my domain. This is what I do. I've done this since 2007. This is what I do. And I had 275 people sign up for the first webinar.
Wow.
Like, oh, snap. Okay.
We needed that. Yeah. We needed that right then.
Oh, like that worked. And then I just got invited, like associations I'd spoken at before. They were like, we're scrapping our program for April. Can you just come in and like basically give us a little boost because everyone's really struggling right now. So I got brought in and I would speak for free. I didn't even care. Like I'm a paid speaker. It was my full-time work, but I was like, I will speak for free. Whoever wants to bring me in, I just want to build exposure. I want to get more reps in doing this virtually. And then, I started to build momentum. I felt like things were good. And then the car accident happened. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like
I'm like that listening to the story. I can't imagine how you feel in the story.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm like, are you kidding me with all of this?
It was like, is this like, what's going on here?
What did I do in my past life? Like, what did I do?
Like, what the actual heck is happening?
Yeah.
But then I literally, the Tuesday after the accident, I was on a workshop with a group of HR professionals talking about building hope and resilience in the midst of uncertainty. I probably should have like taken that week off in retrospect, but it was a distraction and I felt best standing. They were like, the most comfortable position for you, because it was a lower back fracture, is to stand. And I was like, well, it's kind of awkward to just like stand and not do anything. So I might as well work. And so that's what I did. And I started speaking about it. And I would start the session talking about the car accident story. And then I started to weave it into a narrative of like, have you ever felt like you got hit by a truck?
I can't with you right now. I cannot with you. Like, that's so perfect. That's so perfect. I love it. Oh my God. Have you ever felt like this? Well, I actually did.
Well, actually, let me tell you what it feels like.
You probably don't feel like the way I did. Because let me tell you what it really feels like.
Would not recommend. Do not pass go. But so I started speaking about it. And what I realized is I was like, I got people's attention and like, yes, the sand lot. You're killing me, Smalls. And so I did that, and I was like, everyone feels like COVID and the pandemic, all the craziness happening in the world is like a truck that hit you, and then it backed up, and then it hit you again, and then you were like, all right, I'm kind of hobbling up, and then it like hit you again, and most people are like, I'm done, whatever,
Yeah, I'm good, I'm done.
I'm throwing my hands up. And like, that was relatable. That was like instantly relatable. And I wasn't talking about resilience from the perspective of like theory. I'm like, let me tell you what it's literally like to get knocked down and rise back up. Like, let me literally tell you how that works.
So let me tell you what you do, Rachel. it just came over me like really strong. So you provide people with peace. That's what you do as a human. Like, it just, whoosh, I'm right here with you. That's your job. That's your mission. It's healing, but it's, you provide people with peace that they're looking for. That's what you do. As far as like source is telling you right now, this is what your purpose is. Like, legitimately, that's amazing. I mean, who brings people, the Dalai Lama? Like, I mean, I'm serious.
I know you are.
This is what you do. So just so you know, when someone says, what do? You need to say, I bring people peace.
I bring people peace.
You do. You do.
Yes.
And you look what you did to me tonight. I got on the screen. I couldn't talk. I was in tears. And now I'm like, let's keep talking.
I'll talk however long you want to, girl. I'm just telling you, I got nowhere to be. My husband's playing basketball with his friends.
Oh man, your story is, you need to be up on a big stage. Big stage. That is coming for you. That is coming for you. Your trials and tribulations you are a courageous warrior, my friend. You really are. And you're here to share your story for sure. Unmuted.
100%. 100%. Like, and I just appreciate, I love talking to people like you who are just really dialed in too, and who are intentional and who say what they are feeling and receiving in the moment. Not everyone does that. I know that's just like part of who you are too, but like not everyone does that. And it's actually, I can remember specifically times in my life when people have spoken a powerful word over me. And I remember, after I did my first keynote 4 years ago or 5 years ago, a guy named Sean came up to me afterwards and he goes, when's your TED Talk? Like, he literally said that to me, like, after I got off the stage, he's like, when's your TED Talk? And I was like, oh, I want to do one. And I had like 2 other people the same week say something similar. And I was like, what you doing sitting on this for 5 years, girlfriend? I guess I needed this story first. I guess the truck had to hit me. Maybe that was the catalyst of like, hello, if this story hasn't hit you hard enough yet. Here you go.
Here you go, my friend. Thank you, Mike. Well done. Peace is good. We had a lot of good support tonight, because this was like one of my most favorite shows ever. Just being with you was so, and I said to Mike, and I was like, fine, I'll cover for you. And I was all grumpy earlier, and I was like, and I'm not going to do longer than a half hour either. And so that's just the way it's going to be. And then I'm like here, and the time is like running out, and I'm enamored with you completely. So thank you for bringing me peace.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you for bringing me validation and safety and support. I just love, I love conversations like this. I mean, they're just so life-giving. And we're meant to have conversations like this. Like, more people need to hear conversations like this, the behind the scenes and the real stuff that's going on, and not just a bunch of platitudes. Like, I'm so over, like, it's funny when I come into things, I'm over it. Like, I come into things and people make an assumption. They're like, oh, this wellness chick. And I'm like, no. Trust me. Like, this is going to be real. This is not just going to be like, count your blessings every day and everything will be better. Like, oh,
that's not how it works. It's not how it works.
I think you'll find this funny. There was a guy, I was doing a workshop for a group of accountants. I work with a lot of like professional services, cynical, often male dominated, analytical organizations. And they're a fun challenge, because people like me, they come and they're automatically skeptical of somebody like me.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to make us like hold hands and sing Kumbaya. I'm like, no, I won't do that. But I might sing to you, but I won't make you.
I might sing. I'm warning you, I might sing.
I might bring some Elton John into this, but and I was doing a workshop on resetting mindset, and we got to the end of it, and there was a guy who was like mid-50s, CPA firm, and he raised his hand at the end to say something, a virtual experience. And he said, I got to be honest, like coming into this, I thought that this was going to be kind of like, he was like hippy dippy yoga stuff, like no offense.
You're like, okay, none taken.
Like, okay, I got it. He's like, but it wasn't. Like, I actually got so much more out of this than I thought I was going to. And you could see everyone's head on the screen was like, I'm like, oh, so you all thought this was going to be like a gimmick, and you all stuck around.
You brought them peace. Just say it.
Can I call it out? Can I name it?
You just brought them peace. Like mic drop. That's it. That's you. I love it. I love it. It was beautiful to share this space with you. And thank you for everybody that commented and watched. Appreciate you, and everybody that watches. Apparently a lot of people watch later. So enjoy. And we're going to run this. Hang on for 1 second, Rach. Everybody, peace. I'm going to do the little branding fun thing real quick because I love it.
Breath framework. B, begin where you are. R, reclaim your power. E, excavate your core values. A, allow, not control. T, through, not around. And H, healing. The breath framework, a way of life.